Hey there, my name is Jack and I moved from the UK to Vancouver, Canada. For those who aren't familiar with my channel, I have been documenting how I moved from the UK to Canada on the IEC visa. That is a working holiday visa, and all of my other videos have documented how I did it and what you need to have before you come over. It's basically preparing you for moving to Vancouver. Also, I've been sharing videos of some of my travels over here because you've got to experience Canada too. But this video is less about what to do in Vancouver in Canada and more about whether or not you should get a job before you come over to Canada. So here's the question. Should you have a job before you move to Canada? First things first, when applying for the IEC working holiday visa here in Canada, you don't actually need to have a job. That isn't a requirement. You can get your working holiday visa and come to Canada without a job. So that's a good thing, because what that means is if you're from the UK, you can get a 2-year working holiday visa, and even though it activates as soon as you get here, you don't have to be working straight away. The only thing to bear in mind is that as soon as you activate your working holiday visa, then it's ready to go. You can't get that time back because you didn't have a job. But if that doesn't concern you so much, well then that's fine. However, personally, I would say it's probably a benefit to have a job before you come to Vancouver. Now, I'm talking about Vancouver because obviously I live in Vancouver and that's where I relocated to. But it may apply to other parts of Canada as well. So if you're thinking of not moving to Vancouver and instead thinking about going to like Toronto or Calgary or something like that, then have a little dig into whether or not you should get a job. But here's why I think you should have a job before you move to Vancouver. I'm sure if you're like me, you've been doing plenty of research before you go for the move. And in all of that research, it always says that Vancouver is very expensive. And again, if you're like me, you'll be thinking, okay, well, how expensive can it be? Very. The truth is, Vancouver is so expensive, ridiculously expensive. And in fact, I've got an idea to do a video comparing prices over here to in the UK. Because what I'm finding, and I've been here for 2 months now, is that actually the UK isn't really that expensive for things like groceries, rent, being able to afford a house. Even though that seems hard in the UK, it's even harder over here. But that isn't what this video is about. Like I say, that will be another video. Instead, we need to look at your jobs and the job prospects over here as well. So when I was planning to move to Vancouver, Canada, my idea was that I would just move over here with the visa and then I would find a job. I am very glad that that didn't happen and I didn't do that. I was very fortunate to get a job before landing in Vancouver. Now, the way I did that was I went on Google Jobs, I went in LinkedIn, I went on Indeed, and I basically just looked for jobs in my field. Now, I work in film and TV as a video editor. My background has included editing for the news and post-production. So here in Vancouver, film is a very popular job prospect here. So I was led to believe. Vancouver is very proud to call itself North Hollywood. What you'll find is a lot of the Hollywood films are actually filmed in Vancouver, and that's because it's cheaper to do so. Something to do with like a tax break or something like that. So Hollywood and America actually film a lot of their films in Canada, and a lot of those films are in Vancouver. Scooby-Doo 2, Twilight, Deadpool, TV shows like Riverdale, which has just been axed, but Scream is filmed in Montreal. So yeah, Canada is very popular for filmmakers and people who want to work in film. So me, working in film and TV, and my boyfriend working in film and TV, we thought it would be a great move to come over to Vancouver and actually work in that field. So I was very lucky that I had a job before I landed. And that was because I found my job on, it was either Google Jobs or LinkedIn, and I applied, and the Canadian CV is a little bit different here. Instead of listing your skills, you've got to kind of describe how your job fits to their brief. So for example, you would write, I edited a video and it increased audience value. That's how I was told on Moving to Canada anyway. Moving to Canada website, that is. If you haven't been looking at Moving to Canada website listed here, you should probably do that. They have a whole resource on applying for jobs, and a lot of information is there too. So anyway, I got my job before I landed, as I've already said plenty of times. I had my interview at 8 PM in the UK. I think that was 12 PM Canadian time. And then a week later, I found out I had my job. So I had to leave a lot sooner from the UK to get here to Canada to start my job. Basically, I was given 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks, I relocated. Now, I am very glad I did that because I moved here and didn't get paid for another 3 weeks. But I had had savings from the UK, and that is something I would definitely say before you move over here is get as much savings behind you as possible. As part of your application, you need to have at least 2,500 Canadian dollars. And sometimes, depending on where you go and who is there on the day, you will be asked to prove that you have a proof of funds. I had that, but I would say definitely get more, especially if you come into Vancouver and you come without a job. So the reason I would say to definitely get a job before you move over here is because Canada way of life is very expensive. especially if you want to move to Vancouver. I think I underestimated the cost of Vancouver just a little bit. It is very expensive, but I hear that in the rest of Canada, especially in places like Toronto, it is also really expensive. Now, I've been trying to find deals here and ways to save money, and it seems quite hard to do so. My rent is very expensive, but that's because I'm in the heart of Vancouver. Like I said in previous videos, you might get cheaper rent if you can find those deals, which are very rare, or if you live further out, or if you flat share with people. But still, you're looking at 800 to 1,500 to 2,500 Canadian dollars a month to rent. So let's look at it that way. Let's say on average that to live in downtown Vancouver, you're spending about 2,400 Canadian dollars in rent. Then we look at the groceries. Here, for a pint of milk, it's about $8. Cheese is very expensive. And I'll do a bit more of a breakdown cost-wise, but shopping here, just for basic groceries, is so expensive. We went shopping to buy salad, like ingredients for a salad, leaves, potatoes, you know, things like that. It came to £50. So when you're living on just a Canadian wage, that's quite expensive. I wasn't really feeling the cost until I ran out of my UK savings, and now I'm actually using my wage. And let me get this straight, my wage isn't a bad wage. It's actually more money than I was on back home in the UK. However, for Vancouver, it's pretty average. A lot of people say that to live comfortably in Vancouver, you should be earning around $80,000 to $100,000. And if you're living with another person, your household income should be around about $110,000, $120,000 to live comfortably. That's crazy. And that's just the research I've done. Maybe it's different, maybe the figures are a little bit different, but when I've been looking into forums and speaking to people, that's kind of the average cost that I've been getting from people. But like I say, I don't claim to be a huge expert on the financials. In fact, I'm like maths dyslexic. But what I do know for certain is Vancouver is very expensive. So if you're thinking about moving to Canada and Vancouver without a job, I would say to you, maybe don't. Simply because you need to have a job before you get here. To be able to start earning money quickly and to live comfortably and not be worried about your money it's definitely worth having a job. My boyfriend, who works in film and TV, has moved over here, and he moved over after me. He's been here over a month now, and he hasn't had one film interview. Even though he's got a film degree and he's got film experience, he hasn't had one interview. The only interviews he has had has been for admin roles, because that was the job he had before his film degree. And even those admin roles aren't hiring him. A lot of the jobs he has applied for have asked him for tests before he joins. They've either pre-interviewed him with one person and then said, if you pass this pre-interview, you'll get another interview, and then if you pass that interview, you get another interview. And that's a lot of his time that he has to give up, but also that is just crazy. That is a crazy hiring process. The fact you have to go to 3 or 4 interviews, you have to do tests before you even get the first interview. It's a very competitive job market is what I'm trying to say. Because even though Canada and Vancouver are calling people, and they're calling people to emigrate here to Canada, they actually don't really have enough room for those people. They do, but they don't. It's all well and good that Canada want to bring people here, and it's great that people want to move to Canada, but the job market and even the rental market is so expensive and so crazy and so competitive. We should also talk about what jobs are popular here in Vancouver. So I've already said that film and TV jobs are very popular here. However, because I am in the film and TV field, and so is my boyfriend, and my boyfriend can't get even an interview, let alone a job in film, that might not be a good thing. You see, here in Canada, you have to join unions, or unions are at least more popular than they are back home in the UK. And to even get a job in film here, they ask you to start as a PA, which again, I might be wrong, but I feel like that is like a runner job back home in the UK. However, because it's so competitive, so many people are just getting PA jobs like that, and you find that a lot of people are left without work. When you get that PA job, it is hours upon hours of work, long days, sometimes in bad conditions. And also recently I've noticed that there were protests here in BC for people who were working in those sort of roles and in film because they weren't happy with the working conditions. Now back to the unions for film, what tends to happen is that they ask you to join the unions and then you can kind of have access to the jobs. But to join those unions, you have to pass like 2 or 3 courses, which takes time, and when you're on an IEC work and holiday visa, that isn't always possible. Now, if your hope is to stay as well, you also have to bear in mind skilled work and the visa options with that. So some film jobs don't meet the requirements to get PR, and that's another hurdle that we've had to jump through. I was lucky to get my video editing job with an animation studio. It's a 1-year contract, but the animation studio is growing, so at least I have regular work. Whereas if you are in film and TV, you will know back in the UK, but also here as well, it's not always regular work. It's normally also on a freelance basis, long hours, not the best pay sometimes, and it's a bit too irregular for the cost of living anyway. You need to make sure that you have the connections and that you were doing a lot of that work anyway, and that the work is regular. So where was I? It's not impossible to find regular film and TV work here, but they do seem few and far between, depending on what your role is and what your skills are. You'll also find that they are competitive, and also here in Vancouver, animation is so popular. There are so many animation roles going. So if you're an animator, great. If you're not an animator but you work in film and TV, you're even more limited on where you can find regular work. At least that's been our experience anyway. So where was I? The other popular jobs. Marketing is very popular here, and it's a skilled job. So I often see marketing roles advertised: copywriter, social media executive, social media managers, social media assistants. So if that's your field, you will probably find a job quite quickly. At least I hope you will, because I see them all the time. Other jobs I see are for designers. I see animation roles quite often. Other roles I see are administration roles and the regular sort of office jobs. Tech is very popular here. In fact, there's a whole PR stream for tech, BC PNP Tech. So if you work in tech, you can come here on a working holiday visa, and then if you want to stay and get PR, you can follow that stream. So you might feel like this video is a little bit of a disheartener, but I'm just trying to be honest, and be honest with you that you really should try and get a job before you come here. You may have more savings than me, everybody's situation is different, but I would 100% recommend that you at least have a job lined up before you come here, or that you are prepared to go and get a job in anything. You know, you might have to come here and do the bar staff work, do the waiter jobs, because they're quite popular here. They're just not skilled enough for PR. It really depends on what you want out of Canada and what you want out of this working holiday visa. Just be mindful that Vancouver is so expensive, and you will need to have enough money behind you to live comfortably and still be able to afford to do things. That's the whole point, surely, is that you want to be able to still live a life that you were living back in the UK. You want career progression, but you also want to be able to live comfortably. I think it's very good to be mindful that Canada is expensive, and you should be aware of all of the factors before you move over here. So like I say, in another video I will do a breakdown of costs so you can kind of compare the cost of living from the UK to here in Vancouver. But for now, I just wanted to make this video to be honest with you and to be clear that it really does benefit you to have a job before you come over. And once you get your IEC visa, you don't have to come over straight away, you know, because you've got 12 months to actually activate your point of entry letter. So you'll have some time before you do that. Good luck with your job search. Let me know if you need any tips. Let me know how the job search gets on, and let me know your own experiences with living in Canada and Vancouver, and if you found cheaper deals and if you were able to live affordably. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next vid.